Now, I do think, having said that, I do think you're going to see the Lakers go to this smaller lineup sometimes that, okay, where you have the three perimeter players, including Austin Reeves, and then you've got Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, and then in some cases Vanderbilt, who, believe it or not, is pretty incredible. Vanderbilt is their second leading rebounder now after Anthony Davis left, okay? His rebounds per minute is significantly better than even the guy that's leading the league in rebounds, Sabonis. Jared Vanderbilt averages 6.5 rebounds a game in 15 minutes. So there's going to be times when he's that other guy, right? But and he can't shoot at all, so the spacing's not great, but he can rebound and he can guard. Anyway, some combination of those six guys, and I think what that does, it helps Luka, because Luka then is not asked to go guard some perimeter player that can break him down. Like you put Luka on there with that team, Luka can play fours that aren't real threats, that are more spot up guys. And so I think that you're going to see JJ experiment with that, and would have to. I mean, Hatchery has been great this year, really, honestly. He's in a real groove right now. But is that enough shooting with that lineup? Like, I'm not sure, but I do think that's what the Lakers are going to do some of. But you had to address, in case you don't want to do that, who is your other big? Because they don't have anybody. I guess Koloko and Jemison weren't enough for JJ to trust them. So you went out and you got another big. And I think it's good move for Len, and it's going to be good for the Lakers.
I think when you look at Boston, a lot of what makes Boston really good, because they play 5-out basketball. Number one, everybody can attack closeouts and dribble drive, beat their man off the dribble. You have 5 guys that can do that. You have 5 guys that can shoot. You have 5 guys that can defend. This Lakers version is going to be better than Boston, in my opinion, at the dribble drive part, just because LeBron and Luka, they're 2 of the best in the league in terms of you just have to get around your guy, everything's spread out and you have to get around. Nobody's better than Luka. You have to send the double on him. LeBron's great. Austin Reeves is great. So they're as good, if not better, in my opinion, at the dribble drive part. But the shooting is a huge question from the guys you mentioned. And the defense is a huge question. I mean, a large part of what makes Boston awesome with that small ball lineup is they can guard you at an elite level. We'll see if that small ball lineup can do that. I think they're banking on the fact that Luka and LeBron are just going to be too much and score every time, and see which team blanks first in the playoffs. I don't know. But Alex Len, to me, doesn't move the needle. I don't know if he's going to be the lob threat that, Luka really needs to play with. We'll see. But they had to do something in that. And by the way, when you mention Cavs, Celtics, or Knicks, if they make the playoffs, 100% that's who they would play. They're not getting above that. Nobody is passing those teams so that that's who you'd match up in the first round. They definitely, in a best case scenario, would have to match up with one of those 3 teams. So I'm with you. Going over to the Lakers now. They needed a center and they found one. Alex Len. They signed him to a deal, and he will be their center now. So you have Jackson Hayes and Alex Len. Do you like this fit for the Lakers? You were at the game. You saw a lot. You talked to a lot of people. But do you like that fit for what we missed that? But legs, all right, so Luka Doncic gets traded. So anybody's fair game. I don't know if there was any player less tradable than Luka Doncic, and he got moved. And we might be in the era right now of teams looking at their superstar, giving it a run, and if it doesn't work, moving on. So I made a list of players that I think qualify as cornerstone pieces or superstars that could potentially be on the move. And the first one, to me, seems the most likely, and that's Zion Williamson. Number 1 pick, one of the most dominant players in the NBA when healthy, but questions about his ability to stay healthy. Like Luka, hey, is he motivated enough? At least that was Nico Harrison's concern. You certainly could have that with Zion Williamson. And then also you just look at the Pelicans and say, which direction are they going? Do you keep investing more years, or is it healthier for all parties to try to depart? So Zion Williamson, could he be traded? Would you trade him if you were in charge of the Pelicans? And if he is traded, do you think that he could have a resurgence?
I think if I were the Pelicans, I would entertain that, and I would make it known around the league to teams that I'm willing to listen. I would have a hard time buying into that from an organizational standpoint, bringing him in, because it's at the point you start to get to a point where you have to base your view of him in reality, not like, hey man, if all the time with these ifs. This is his 3rd year out of the 5 seasons he's played. He's played 24 games, 1 year 29, another at 17 this year. 61 and 70 in the other 2 years when he was relatively healthy. He missed 21 games. Yeah. Healthiest year he missed 12. Other games, you know the numbers. It's just gets to the point where you don't expect it anymore. So look, there are teams that would be interested in his brand. He's very entertaining. He can be dominant. I mean, if he ever could play 75 games and do that for 5 or 6 years, no telling what he'd be capable, because he's so unique. There's only one of you. There's only one in the whole league. Yep. Zion Williamson is one of one. The way that he attacks you specifically with that combination of power and athleticism
and touch.
All of that. And his finishing ability. You're right. But you just so rarely see it. That's a very hard sell to me if I'm an organization and I get that call from New Orleans. Like, what do you give up? What do you want to give up to bank on getting that next 3 or 4 years of health out of Zion Williamson? I just think it becomes difficult to really buy into that. It doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah, the what you get back part is the hard part of this, because at the moment, no team is willing to mortgage the entire future, give up every asset to get Zion as good as he is. You're more betting on what he has been, which is inconsistent. So I think that part is very real. But the other part of that is, if you're New Orleans, how long and how consistently well does he have to play for you to trust him again? Because I think it'd have to be an entire season and postseason. If he was healthy and motivated and everything else and played that way, it would take that for you to go into the following season with at least a little bit of trust of like, okay, we're sticking with him. We're building around him. And even then, if you got one fully healthy run and playoff run, I still think in the back of your mind, you'd be, man, I just don't know. So that's why I say sometimes it expires with the player, the trust, the vibes, everything like that. And I would not be surprised at all. We know we've heard reports about them looking for him, but to me, it's the best interest of all parties to kind of move on. And Zion gets a fresh start. You don't feel like you have that trust broken and you have to do all this, this, and this. So to me, I think he's a guy that I would expect to be on a different team at some point in the next, I don't know, year or so, year and a half.
Because the alternative is you keep him, hope he stays healthy. But even then, now look, Brandon Ingram's gone. CJ McCollum is absolutely nearing the end of his career. So what are you even if Zion were to stay and be healthy and you build everything around him? This was a team that had great hope and great promise at one point, with a lot of talent at the top, the point, the wing, the power player, like all that stuff would check those boxes. You and I talked repeatedly how much we love their role players and all of these different guys that make contributions offensively or defensively or both. They just feel.
Do you have any notes here? Because these are two teams that can match up in a postseason, two of the best teams in the East. What do you make of this one? And Indiana, by the way.
Yeah, Indiana, they've been red hot. I think going into Saturday's game against the Lakers, that inexplicable loss when Lakers sat everybody and except Austin Reeves, and he torched them for 45 points and went up 20 in the first quarter. It was like, didn't make any sense. Indiana had been 19-6 in the last 25 prior to that game. So they've been on a roll, but this is the kind of game like the Knicks. Karl Anthony Towns was amazing. He took this right to them. Look, I will say, for Indiana, they're a totally different team, I think, in terms of defensively, the look that you can give them without Miles Turner. So they're a different look. But Cat was great. The Knicks, they took it to Indiana. They were able to control their ability to get out and run and space them out. Knicks were impressive. That's a tough environment for Indiana. I do like the Pacers a lot, but I think the Knicks clearly showed in that little 3-4, gap between those two teams. The Knicks they can take it to a place, I think, right now that Indiana would have a hard time replicating, even though the Pacers are dangerous.
Well, they have Josh Hart, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, just an absolute monster. And then the last one I have for you here, just a quick hitter, but Ben Simmons signed with the Clippers. I could say they won the Ben Simmons sweepstakes. I don't know if that'd be appropriate, but Ben Simmons, looking for to reclaim his career. Interesting fit. They're great defensively. I'm curious how you think he's going to do out there. Come on, Legs. That's a good team. He's only asked to do certain things. They're already a good defense.
I'm sorry, man. I'm so past the point of getting excited. Getting excited about Ben Simmons joining any team. Go ahead. Do it. Show me.
All right.
I'll be the first one to give you credit when you play well. I got no agenda. But if you want me going into it to get all excited that Ben Simmons is going to play and be interested in playing and make a difference for them, hard to buy into, man. The guy's a specimen. We saw that early in his career, man. something happened to him in the Atlanta series for that last series he played in Philadelphia, and he's been completely just fried between the ears ever since. I don't know. This is one more opportunity for him, maybe the last one. We'll see. If he plays well, I'll be the first one to give him credit.
James, it's Grizzlies Clippers tonight. Ben Simmons goes off. We are leading the show with Tim Legler's apology directly to Ben Simmons if he goes off tonight against the Grizzlies, the number 2 seeded Grizzlies.
You got it. And listen, I will allow that. The converse of that is, if you see absolutely nothing out of him, if they turn the lights on in the arena and he runs behind the bench and cowers. Okay, I also want to hear that from you. So I apologize.
I just asked the question.
You asked it in an enthusiastic manner. You had an uptick in your voice. Your vocals went up a little bit, like you were excited. So it's the tone of the question, not just what you said.
I was a little too excited. My apologies, everyone. A little too excited to ask the question. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk about Luka Doncic can be traded. Anyone can be traded, but there are some superstar teams who have been the cornerstone of their franchise for several years who might be on the move, and we'll talk about the storyline around each of those guys on the other side. First, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game and want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks with the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets onto a same game parlay for a longer shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers can get started with $150 in bonus bets if you bet your first $5 bet and get a win. By the way, last night we talk about betting in the middle of the games. The Bulls are down 41 points at the half, so you could bet on the live line. Are they going to win but lose by more than 41? Might be the only way to make that game interesting. Just visit FanDuel.com/AllNBA. That's FanDuel.com/ALLNBA for a shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Also want to tell you guys about Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. They have great deals here. And not only that, you can get your 35% off when you use the promo code AC35. But what I do, because I like them so much and they have so many great offers and they have so many different styles, I have a couple different pairs in my car, one in my backpack, one here in my home right by the key check. So if I'm going out for a walk or something, I got Shady Rays all around the house so that I never have to remember or go looking for them. I just know that they're at the spots where I use my sunglasses the most. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair. I go Navigators, and Aviators. That's my style. That's what I like to wear. But they got every single type of sunglass you're going to want to watch, and exclusively to
see if he stays healthy, is he even a needle mover for the team? Like, what are we if Zion Williamson's our best player and everything's built around him, and this is the roster we have? What is that? Is that a 500 team, a sub 500 team? Are they relevant at all in the West? And if he's got a body of health to end this year and the first half of next year through 40, 45 games, and they're not very good, that might be now things change. The conversation changes around him, around the league, where now somebody maybe does go and grab him, and the Pelicans realize this isn't going to be something that's ever going to be good. So Now it is time to strip this down. But right now, I don't know that you'd get a lot of people interested because of what New Orleans would ask back for him.
The next one to me is interesting, and it's LaMelo Ball. And, here's the thought process, because he's a great player and he's still young, but they obviously just made some moves to reset the deck. They have a shot at a #1 seed, a really good shot at it coming up this June. The thing I wonder about with them, if they get a Cooper Flag, maybe that resets things, because now you say, okay, LaMelo Ball, Cooper Flag, or whoever it is their top choice in the draft. If they get that pick, it feels like we have our two pieces. But if you fall somewhere outside that, you get the 4th or 5th pick, and you don't feel like you're getting a cornerstone guy or a running mate for LaMelo, to me, there would be a question of, What's our timeline? Has LaMelo, as great of a player as he is, we're still 3-4 years away. And is he going to build the culture here and be patient for all that and those types of things? So even though he's a great player right now, I think, and then by the way, as Bobby Marks pointed out on ESPN today in his article, it was a different ownership group that signed him, different front office that gave him the extension. Now you have new people in there and they might come in and say, hey, we want to start over. So LaMelo Ball to me is a guy that I don't think would get traded, but I do see a path where in the next 365 days, the Hornets could be at a point where they say, maybe this isn't the foundation we're looking for and we can get a lot for LaMelo right now.
Oh, I think that I agree with that. I know for me, I'm too tantalized by the talent. I don't like the way he plays some nights. He shoots too much. I think that's part of that's being on a bad team. I think with expectations, you put him in that scenario with a team that's competitive. His passing ability